Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Pros and Poor. My name is Ashley. If you are new, welcome to my channel. And if you're not new, welcome back. Today I'm going to kind of go over my July reading wrap up. I am a little bit late getting to this video, but overall I had a pretty good month. I read in total, I think about 9 books. I'm sorry, I read 8 books and then I had 1 D and F. And it's definitely going to be controversial, so really excited to kind of see everyone's feedback on that. But also, I would have to say that it was kind of an interesting reading month because I read a little bit of everything. I actually read my first forensic thriller, and I'm really excited to talk about that. I had a couple of psychological thrillers, I would say, I think maybe about 3, and then some magical and then some speculative fiction, and then an emotional Hollywood story. So overall, it was a pretty exciting reading month. I had 1 3-star, 2 5-stars, and then I guess that leaves 6 4-star reviews, or no, 5, because I'm not going to count the D and F. We don't rate those. And I may swing back around to that book, but we will see. And then also, July was my birthday, so I had a Bookish Birthday and some really cool stuff that I want to show you, so I'm super excited. But I will leave the intro there, and then we're going to kind of dive into my first book. So the first book I have, and I have my notes here of course, I read Borrowing of Bones by Paula, what is her last name? I think it's Mounier. I think it's Paula Mounier. And basically, this is book 1 of a series. I think there are 9 books in total in the series. I'm not a typical series reader, but it seemed really interesting because it had a little bit of a mystery, small town secrets, seemed kind of like an easy read, and I was curious if I could make myself commit to a series, but who was I kidding? Yeah, Borrowing of Bones, and it's book 1 of the Mercy Carr series. And basically, we have Mercy Carr, and she is a former Army military police officer, and she's adjusting to the civilian life after her late fiance's retired military with her late fiance's retired military working dog canine Elvis. So I do love a dog in a book, and so having that with a mystery, I thought it'd be a cool book to read. And it might just be that it's not for me, and I think partially because it was a series and I knew that going in. Well, I love anything in the wilderness, and basically what happens very early on in the beginning of the book, it starts off with a hike with Elvis and Mercy. They are in Vermont, and then Elvis alerts to explosive, and then the book goes on from there after she ultimately ends up finding this abandoned baby. And she meets up with game warden Troy Warner, who is in this small town, remembers her from way back when, and the book goes on to develop from there. But overall, my thoughts on this book, were, I'd give it a 3-star. I would say, I don't remember, I think it just maybe, I didn't feel like it felt like it would be in the same category as a lot of my 4-star reads, so I think ultimately that's why I'm going to probably give it 3 stars. And I think you would still like it if you like a wilderness setting, a mystery. I would say that it's pretty straightforward writing. So there's not like a lot to figure out as far as like puzzle, what do they call it? I think like puzzle reading or puzzle, I can't remember the word, but overall, it's a really good story. It's engaging. You could probably read it pretty quickly. My next book is, let me see. So we're going to dive straight into my 4-star. I had a lot of 4-star reads. So Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So we have Joan Goodwin, and I'm very late to reading this book, but we have Joan Goodwin. She is a brilliant, but she's also reserved astronomy professor, kind of like a workaholic, and she's very thoughtful, quietly determined, and she's the most happy when she's looking at the stars. And then you also have Vanessa Ford. She is confident, charismatic, and she basically kind of lights up the room anytime she enters the room. And then we have some additional supporting characters like Barbara, I think Barbara is her name, and that is Joan's sister, and then her daughter Frances, who I actually absolutely loved. Kids in the book can be hit or miss, right? But she was also, I think she was in the book a lot, Frances. And I will say, like always, I did an immersive reading experience where I listened while I read. And Julia Whalen is the queen of audiobooks, and she did the narration for this book. She also did a really good job at, I think, I guess I could say delivering the character of Frances, the niece, in a way that was really a good emotional bond with Joan. And I think that was actually probably my favorite bond in the story, believe it or not. So I thought that was a good book. And yeah, I ultimately give it four stars. Yeah, I gave it 4 stars just because I didn't love it as much as Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. So I don't know if anyone can be, like, I don't think she can outdo that book. I just love that book so much. But yeah, and then I think if you liked, let's see, Project Hail Mary and maybe Into the Blue, I think you would probably like Atmosphere, because you maybe think that it's going to be too scientific or too heavy. I didn't really get that vibe from this book. That said, I mean, it probably helped that I did the audiobook while I read along. So you might try doing the same. But again, I mean, I think the first book I would recommend from Taylor Jenkins Reid would be Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, for sure. My next 4-star read was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. So this was my first V.E. Schwab book. I think we have a lot of new authors for the month of July. I don't think I had any repeat authors. But V.E. Schwab, I was really excited about. Carly from Pastel Bookshelf talks about V.E. Schwab a lot. And so I kind of wanted to give one of her books a read. I think if you like Lady Tremaine, you would also probably like this book, or like The Time Traveler's Wife, because it's got an atmosphere, hopeful, thought-provoking, timeless. Because you're kind of going through time, right? And that any kind of time book is really cool. I think we go over a span of like maybe 200, 300 years. So basically, Addie is a young woman. She lives in 18th century France. And then she makes a deal with, I guess you could kind of say, like, with the devil to live longer. And I think this is like a book you could read more than once, because she wants the life of immortality. And unfortunately, along with that comes, like, her non-existence. Essentially, everyone she meets, they don't remember her. So she kind of comes to regret that until she one day meets this guy, Henry. And it's a really, really good book. I won't say too much because I don't want to give any spoilers, but I think it was fantastic. I will say it took a little bit of time to read this book because of the writing style. So kind of heavy on the lyrical, very poetic almost, I would say. So it's not as straightforward as some other potential books. If you're looking for something just like an easy kind of mindless read, this is probably not it. But yeah, kind of similar to Lady Tremaine, and I would say this one is kind of along the same lines of that writing style. Also a fantastic book. But it is 300 years. So it's over the span of 300 years, and then she meets the bookseller Henry. So really, really good book. Also, if you like The Midnight Library or 10,000 Doors of January, this would also be a really good book. So, the next 4-star read I have is The Book of Doors by Gareth Brown. So, this was also recommended by Carly, and I absolutely love this book. I think I might actually end up bumping it up to 4.5 stars. This book is kind of like whimsical, magical, atmospheric. It's enough mystery and danger to like keep you turning the pages, I think. I actually have it right here. What am I doing here? What am I doing? Basically, we are following Cassie. I couldn't remember the main character's name, so I'm glad it's right here. Cassie's working in a bookstore, and then at the beginning, and this is not a spoiler, at the beginning of the book, a man comes to visit her. She's approached by this stranger, and basically he quickly dies in the shop and leaves her a book. And then it goes on from there to kind of just be probably more than you could ever possibly imagine. I love this supporting character. I think it's Izzy. I want to say her name is Izzy. She was so funny. Yes, it is Izzy. It says right here. It's her roommate. So roommate and friend, I would say. But Izzy also continues to be a big, I don't want to say supporting character, because she's really also in the book a lot. But even with this book, I would say all of the characters are great. Even the villainous characters, I love them. And it has this really cool, let me see here if you can see. It has this really cool, like, the pages are so interesting to me. And then the inside, if you can kind of see, it's really pretty. So I like it. I think I am going to end up giving it 4.5 stars. I'm sorry, maybe 5 stars, just because of the fact that I'm going to keep this book, and I rarely keep books, and then I would maybe reread it. I think this is definitely a book that you could reread. And so, let's see if there's anything else I wanted to mention on that one. Yeah, also, I think it's similar to The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Like, I read this right after, but this is a more straightforward writing style. So, if you're looking for something that's not as poetic in writing, I would say go to this book. But I loved it. Even some of those villainous characters I thought were great. And then the next book, I think the next book I actually read was also 4 stars, was Into the Blue by Emma Brody. I think it's Brody. So this book was really, really good. I know that it's kind of making its rounds right now. It is a second chances type book, kind of like a, I guess you can say enemies, maybe frenemies to lovers type trope. And then it has like the Hollywood appeal to it. It's emotional, it's character driven, but I will say the characters kind of will drive you nuts. We'll say it nicely, but yeah, they definitely drove me nuts. In the journey, we're following AJ Graves, one of 5 siblings who dreams of writing. Is that right? Is it AJ? I don't feel like that's right. Yeah, so our main character, AJ Graves, is one of 5 siblings. I had to look because I was like, I don't remember her name. Now I remember our main character, the guy, his name was Noah, and basically they are both, there's kind of like a time, we start I think in, I don't remember, maybe when they're teenagers, I think. And they're working together in this video store, small age gap between the two of them, but basically Noah is this talented heir to a famous acting family. And I think it was his grandmother. She's also a really cool character in the beginning of the book. But they end up working together. There's a couple of different time changes in the book. I want to say maybe 3 or 4. And then the one thing I will say, this book does not have like numerical chapters, which is my biggest pet peeve in the world. So you can't like quickly put this book down and then pick it up. And if you drop it and lose your bookmark, you probably won't. It'll take you a long time to find your way back in the story. And I understand why they did that, because in parts of the book they are filming in Hollywood, and this is not a spoiler, but they're filming. And so some of that filming for this show that's mentioned in the premise is filmed in a very short period of time. So it really does make sense as to why the book, I think, is split up into like part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. And, so you kind of, I think in maybe part 2 or 3, it's like filming over a period of like 7 days. And so, again, it does make sense. I will also say I want to add some thoughts, just kind of like a warning. You might want to read this book over a period of time, or you can definitely reread it, but you might want to have kind of a bit of a understanding of Hollywood and the entertainment industry. So I will say there are quite a few behind the scenes. I'm trying to see, I have my notes here. There are some behind the scene references to the entertainment industry. So yeah, we have acting, TV production, casting, life on set. It is helpful to have a general understanding of kind of like how that world works, to probably have a really good understanding of this book. You can definitely tell that Emma Brody did her research. In fact, it says here she spent about 15 years working in the publishing industry as an executive editor. So she definitely did her research, but just kind of maybe try to have a good, decent understanding of the industry, because I think that would be a lot helpful in this book. And so you might want to reread it again. But it was really good. The characters will drive you crazy. They literally pissed me off the whole time. It was a really good book. I still end up giving it 4 stars. And then I think somebody I know is borrowing it right now, but yeah, I'm really excited. I would read it again for sure. The next book, my next 4-star read, was Someone Knows by Keeland. I hope I said that right. So by Keeland, and this is a very quick read. I got it as an aardvark book. It was fun. I genuinely could not put it down. And then that story is told through dual timelines, which is actually my favorite. But you have an unraveling past that builds tension in the present. I don't recall if it's where you catch up to the present or not, but either way, loved the dual timelines. And then a couple of times, there's going to be some twists in here, but you'll think you have it figured out, and then you probably do not. I want to say there was at least 2 or 3 good twists in there that got me, and it's really hard to get me. The pacing kept me turning the pages, and then before I knew it, I had finished that entire book. But again, it's a really quick read. I want to say you could probably read it in a day if you just sat there and binged it the whole time. Short thriller, lots of suspense. It didn't feel rushed, I don't think there were any horror elements in it. I'd have to check. Probably not. I typically don't read horror. I would say, I want to say no. I don't think there are. So if you're looking for just like a good mystery, this would definitely be that mystery thriller. I probably could have given it 4.5 stars had it not been so similar to another book that I read earlier in July and gave 5 stars. So that was it. If I read a book, and especially because I read them in the same month, I was like, there's no way I can give this book 5 stars because, and you'll hear about it here shortly, but I had a 5-star read that was too similar, and it's probably going to be one of my favorite books for the entire year. That sums up all of my 4-star reads. So like I said, I had, one 3-star read, I think 5, 6, 4-star reads, and then I've got my 2 5-star reads. So let's dive into those. My first 5-star read was Long Time Gone by Charlie Donnelly. And I think people are pretty familiar with Charlie Donnelly if you are a mystery or thriller reader. He, as far as I know, he doesn't do anything too gory or horror, but I have this book by him that I would like to read. It kind of has a little bit of a summer vibe, so I might actually try and read that as like a summer mystery thriller book. But yeah, he also wrote 20 Years Later, and then Long Time Gone. So that one I think is definitely under-mentioned, under-reviewed, underrated. I picked it up on a whim from the library app, believe it or not. So I thought that was super cool because I was just in there playing around, and I probably clicked on something like a filter that said, available now, what's your vibe? I picked the audio duration, I guess, for like 7 hours or something. And that book was, I listened, right? But that book was so good. I mean, I binged it. I couldn't stop listening. It is a cold case, forensic thriller, family secrets, small town mystery, dual timeline, which I know I mentioned, but I love that. And then you've got like a DNA genealogy element to this book. So absolutely fantastic. The journey, we start off with Dr. Sloan Hastings. She is a newly graduated forensic pathologist, and she volunteers her DNA for a forensic genealogy project. So she's also assigned to this particular area by, I don't know if it's like her professor or her mentor. I feel like I maybe talked about this book last month or something, but she ends up kind of becoming the source of her own research, I guess is the best way to put it. And then she ends up ultimately going to uncover some truth from her findings in this genealogy test that she does. She travels to the secluded Nevada town, and then she's there because that's where her biological family vanished. So she just starts to discover all these decades-old secrets, and then the past and the present collide, which is absolutely one of my favorite things, styles in a mystery book. I devoured it. It was fast-paced. I loved how it was written. I'm definitely going to read more from Charlie Donnelly, and now all of his content just keeps showing up in my feed. So I'm so excited to read any of his upcoming books. Is there anything else I wanted to mention about this book? I would say it's a puzzle box thriller. That's what I was looking for earlier. I would say this is a puzzle box thriller, not an action heavy or horror focused suspense, which is weird because I would actually maybe say, I would say that it is action. I guess maybe not action in the way that most people think, but maybe what I'm looking for is fast-paced. It's a fast-paced thriller. So, and then you've got a strong female protagonist, which is always great. But yeah, I gave this 5 stars. I was so excited. It was one of the first books I read at the beginning of the month, so I was hopeful that I would remember everything I wanted to share with you about that book. But definitely pick up Long Time Gone. I'm probably going to end up buying it as if I need more books. But yeah, that's a good one. The next 5-star read, and I might actually buy a second copy of this book because it's hard to find, but The Strange Case of Jane O. And who is that by? I don't know why I didn't mention that here. So Strange Case by Jane O is by Karen Thompson Walker. She's a new author to me, and the premise for this book was fantastic. It came up in one of these groups that I'm in, and I saw the cover and I thought it was really cool, and it was the first aardvark book, right, that I ever read. And so I picked it up, and I just briefly looked at it, but this is kind of the premise. Jane O is a young mother. She wakes up face down in a neighborhood park. No memory how she got there, and she begins experiencing all these unsettling episodes like memory loss, hallucinations, and then she gets referred to a psychiatrist. His name is Dr. Henry Bird. And then, what starts off as kind of like an unusual psychiatric case becomes unlike anything he's ever encountered. And I think he's pretty young in his career. And of course, I listened. And you had his narration and then hers, and I thought that was fantastic. Actually, I thought I had that book. So here it is. I do have this book. I knew that I had it somewhere, but yeah, The Strange Case of Jane O, and it is by Karen Thompson Walker. But look at that cover. I thought that was so cool. I actually recommended this, I think, to Renee with Beyond Books. And yeah, it says here, this is a spellbinding and provocative novel from New York Times bestselling author of The Age of Miracles. It's a puzzling psychological symptom type book, and then it doesn't really say anything else. Well, at the end it says Karen Thompson Walker's profound and beautifully written novel is a speculative mystery, and it's about memory identity, and it's kind of like a mesmerizing literary puzzle about the bonds of love between a mother and a child. So I wasn't sure if I was even going to like it. So to give it 5 stars, I think is crazy because it has 3.75 on Goodreads. And I was like, wow, it's so underrated. And I think I read, so I want to share with you because I did some research, and I think she mentions at the end of the book was an associate professor of creative writing, and then she's also a graduate of UCLA and Columbia MFA's program. But she spent a lot of time working on this book, a lot of research, and then she read about the practices of psychotherapy, memory, amnesia, dissociative fugue, and the mysteries of human consciousness. So that if you like psychological thrillers, or if you like mysteries or suspense, this book is definitely for you. I can't stop talking about this book. I love it so much. But yeah, I think I'm still going to end up getting a second copy of it because I would be devastated if anything happened to this book. That's how obsessed with this book I am. But I think I mentioned earlier I had a book that I DNF'd that is going to be super controversial, so I can already hear you all typing in the comments. But I had Whistler by Ann Patchett, and I started reading it and I DNF'd it. I think I got about 80 pages into it. The premise was really cool. I remember there's like an art gallery and a stranger and things like that. But yeah, I got about 80 pages in, and I remember having a moment where I was like, do I really care what happens next? And the answer was no. So I ended up DNFing it, but I might return to it. We will see. Let me know in the comments if you think I should go back to the book, but I've never picked up a book that I DNF'd after I DNF'd it, if that makes sense. She's an award-winning author. She's a great author. Maybe the book was too slow-paced for me. Maybe I was just coming off of reading some really, fast-paced 5-star books. So maybe I just wasn't in the mood. It could be that. But she's a fantastic author, award-winning author. And it could also be that most people who read and love Ann Patchett already know that they do. So that might be some of the hype surrounding that book. But I would maybe give it a shot again. But let me know in the comments if you think I should. And yeah, I'm just curious. So I know I told you guys that I had a bookish birthday. My birthday was in July. So I wanted to show you some of the gifts that my friends gave me. I thought they were so cute. So I have this wine glass. It says, "Books and wine make everything fine." I don't know if you can see it, but super cute. But yeah, books and wine make everything fine. So that's a good size wine glass. Wow. I think all the ones I have are smaller. I'm telling you about all my wine glasses. And then she gave me this as well. It says just one more chapter. So I don't know if you can see it, but super cute. Finally, I have something to put on my bookshelf with my books. And I'm going to put it up here. It looks so cute with all the summer books, and I have it right next to Paradise Problem, so I think that's super cute. And then lastly, I got this cool book sleeve. from someone very special to me. I'm absolutely obsessed with it actually, because being a member of Book of the Month and Aardvark, I'm always excited about book mail, and it looks like an envelope. I don't know if you can see that, but and then they all kind of have this cute little finishing touch, like it has these cute little beads on the end. But I love it because when I read, I take off the dust jacket because I will find a way to tear the pages of a book. I'm gonna show you right now. It will hold any, I think pretty much any size of book. Like I put a bunch of different books in here, you know, bigger, some of them a lot bigger, and no issues here. But yeah, it's so cute. You can kind of like take it wherever you want to, and I'll often put books like in a tote, but anytime that I have a book that I'm reading, I put that book in here. So I can just go to the shelf, pick it up and grab it. But yeah, I love it so much. And then I kind of feel like I might want to have a couple of different ones, because if you're someone like me who either reads more than one book, I might want to like color code or something. Like this could be a good one for, actually it's really kind of cute for this book. See, check it out. And then if I'm reading anything, I have a lot of books that have the ocean on the cover. Oh, so you'll be really good with this one, even though you're going to take the cover off anyway. But it would be really cute because she also does these like spooky bookshelf buddies. They kind of look like this, but they're handmade and crocheted by Brittany. And so I think I would like to get like a bat or a ghost and put it on my shelf like this for spooky season. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to do that. But I will drop her information. I'll put her picture up here, and then if you want to reach out and you're interested in getting like a book buddy and then one of these cool book sleeves, let me know. We'll get you all hooked up. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Bye.